All right, let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but is being seriously debated by some of the smartest people on the planet. We're talking about the technological singularity. It's this one idea that could totally rewrite our future. And today, we're going to break down exactly what it is, why some people think it's our salvation, and why others think it could be our end. To really kick things off, I want you to just take in this quote from the mathematician I.J. Good. And get this, he wrote it all the way back in 1965. The first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man need ever make. Just let that sink in. It perfectly captures the massive, massive stakes here. I mean, if we get this right, we could solve every problem we have. But if we get it wrong, well, it's the last thing we ever do. So that quote is all about this idea of a singularity. But what are we actually talking about when we say that? Well, the word itself kind of points to a moment, a point of no return, where the future becomes so different that it's just impossible for us to predict from where we're standing right now. And at the absolute heart of it is this concept of an intelligence explosion. So picture this. You build an AI that's smart enough to improve its own code, its own design. That new version is now even smarter, which means it's even better at improving itself, so it does. And that next version is smarter still. Each cycle gets shorter and shorter, faster and faster, until you have this runaway feedback loop, an explosion of intelligence that results in something that isn't just a bit smarter than us, it's on a completely different level, almost unimaginable to us. You know, the analogy that a lot of experts use is pretty mind-bending. They say crossing the singularity is like crossing the event horizon of a black hole. It's a boundary in time. We can guess, we can theorize all we want about what's on the other side, but from where we are now, the future becomes completely, fundamentally unknowable. Okay, so that's the kind of scary, unpredictable part. But let's flip the coin. What if it goes right? What if we get this right? Let's look at the utopian vision, the incredible promise that has so many people so excited. What would a world with a friendly superintelligence actually look like? Honestly, the potential upsides are just wow. Think about an AI dedicated to science, making discoveries in medicine or physics in an afternoon that would take us centuries. That could lead to what's called a post-scarcity economy, where things like food, housing, and energy are basically free for everyone. It could finally solve our biggest, unsolvable problems, curing every disease, ending poverty, maybe even reversing climate change. Some even think it could figure out how to build technologies like Dyson spheres to capture all the energy from our sun. It's wild. And this isn't just some abstract fantasy. You can see this hope everywhere online. This one comment from Reddit really captures it. I hope AGI will let us move past the current economic model to a post-scarcity world. It's this deep desire to just rewrite the rules, to build a better world that isn't defined by what we lack. All right, but for every one of those incredible promises, there's an equally terrifying peril. This is the sharp counterargument, the stuff that keeps the very people building this technology up at night. Because the same power that could create a perfect utopia could also become an existential threat to all of us. So we're really looking at two completely different futures here. Two sides of the very same coin. On one side, you've got a world of abundance, all our problems solved. Maybe it's the next step in our evolution. But on the other side, you've got an uncontrollable power and intelligence that might not share our values. And that could make it, just like I.J. Good warned, our very last invention. This brings up this really chilling idea from the philosopher Nick Bostrom. He calls it black ball technology. Imagine an urn that's filled with every possible invention humanity could ever discover. Most of them are white balls. They're good for us. Some are gray. They have mixed results. But what if, somewhere in that urn, there's a single black ball? A technology so dangerous that the moment you pull it out and discover it, it inevitably destroys you. The terrifying question is, are we reaching into that urn right now to pull out superintelligence? Okay, so setting aside the whole, robot apocalypse scenario for a second, there's a much more immediate and maybe even more plausible danger. And that's a future with just insane, exploding inequality. Okay, whoa. Don't let the math scare you off. You absolutely do not need to know what any of this means. This is just a formula from a recent economics paper that tries to model what might happen to wealth inequality. That GI just stands for the Gini coefficient, which is how economists measure the gap between the rich and poor. So what does all that math boil down to? It's actually super simple. As AI makes capital, the machines, the software, way more profitable than human labor, the wealth gap could just skyrocket. To put it bluntly, if you own the AI, you get richer. If you're the person the AI replaced, you get poor. And that could lead to wealth being concentrated at the very, very top on a scale we have never seen in human history. And this really grounds that whole economic theory in a very raw, very human fear you see online all the time. As one Redditor put it, pretty bluntly, history repeats itself, and the unwashed masses get the shaft every time. It's this powerful feeling that maybe this new tech revolution won't be any different, that it'll just be another story where ordinary people get left behind. So, wow, we've got this incredible utopian dream on one hand and a total catastrophe on the other. What in the world are we supposed to do about it? How do we even begin to navigate this future? To really get why people are so focused on AI safety right now, before we're even close to superintelligence, we need to look back at a little story from the history of computer science. So way back in the early days of computing, the guys who created the C programming language made this one tiny design choice to save a little bit of memory. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but that one choice accidentally created a huge security vulnerability called a buffer overflow. For decades, to this very day, that one little mistake has been the cause of countless hacks and security breaches. The lesson here is huge. Small decisions made at the very beginning of a new technology can have massive, permanent consequences down the line. And the fear is that we're about to make those same kinds of foundational decisions for AI. So, learning from that kind of mistake, experts are talking about putting up some guardrails. Right now. First, something called compute caps. Basically, just pump the brakes, temporarily limit the insane amount of processing power used for the biggest AI models to give the safety research time to catch up. Second, create liability frameworks, meaning if you build an AI and it causes harm, you're held responsible, just like a company that pollutes the environment. And third, and this is a big one, seriously invest in the technical research to make these things understandable and aligned with what we actually want them to do. Okay, so that's the safety side. But what about that massive economic shock we were talking about, the mass automation? Well, an old idea has gotten a whole new lease on life, universal basic income, or UBI. The idea is pretty simple. Give every citizen a regular, no-strings-attached payment to cover their basic needs. And here's the thing, this is not some brand new sci-fi idea that just popped up with AI. Not even close. This idea was proposed by the American founding father Thomas Paine back in 1797. It was championed by the famous conservative economist Milton Friedman in the 60s. By 1968, more than 1,000 economists signed a letter supporting it. It's an idea that's had support from all across the political spectrum for centuries. And now, it's back on the table as a serious answer to AI. And this all brings us to the biggest, most mind-bending question of all. If we do it, if we navigate all the risks and successfully create a friendly superintelligence, what's our place in that world? What do we even do? The philosopher David Chalmers lays out 4 potential paths for us, and they are wild. The first is, well, extinction. We mess it up and it gets rid of us. The second is isolation. We kind of live in our own little bubble, maybe in virtual worlds, and just leave the AIs to do their thing. The third is inferiority. We live in a world run by these superintelligent beings, but we're basically like pets or children. And the fourth is integration. We merge with the AI, enhancing our own brains and bodies until we become part of that superintelligence ourselves. So at the end of the day, the singularity could solve all of our problems. It could cure disease, end poverty, give us everything we've ever dreamed of. But what role is left for us in the world that it creates? If an ultra-intelligent machine is truly the last invention we ever need to make, what do we do the day after?